Hey guys, welcome back. Gonna follow up today with what we were looking at last time. That's pre-hacking the Segway GT3 Pro. Mine is still, on the way, but very excited about it getting here in the future. So looking around, I thought maybe it made sense to look at, what was state of the art before this model. So here we got a look inside. This is one of the Segway take-apart videos on the GT2. So that was a two-wheel drive model beforehand. You can see the placement is quite a bit different. They've put the controller in the front of the scooter. Slathered, it's in a sort of a metal thing, slathered in heatsink paste. And the service is kind of, I don't know, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of like taking apart and little places and glue. But essentially, the controls look to be the same as they're using in the more consumer scooters like the Maxes and whatnot. We've got there's two 6-pin Hall effect sensors that go with the motors. I suspect this one appears lighting. And this one down here is a 5-pin for control. So just a couple different views of that. This appears almost like an afterthought. These cables seem to run, I don't know, back into the board or something. I'm not sure what to make of those. But then we get to the then we switch back over to the GT3, whereas previous ones had pin connectors. Now everything in this model is I guess these waterproof circular connectors. This is a 5-pin connector. Goes to the lighting. Control bus now is a 6-pin. I didn't see all those pins make it through, but I don't have all of that. Yeah, 6-pin also for the Hall effect sensors for the front and rear motors. Those are a different gender coming out of the controller, so you can see the difference. This big one here is the lighting harness, splits off into the tail and brake lights. And yeah, they start pulling that thing out, and it is it's chunky, to say the least. I did notice that there's not actually any heatsink paste on it. I don't know if that's just a function of the service video or what. But yeah, this 4 connector here is our battery connector. And let's see, back to the GT2. So anyway, on these models, on the GT1, GT2, they've got the standard 4-pin ST-Link interface. A couple different views of all that. So let's see. The what I was able to gather, that ST-Link interface. I'll look at some web stuff here. Oh, too many tabs. All right, so there's two main ways of getting into the scooter. There's the ST-Link, which is the debug interface. That is supposed to, I don't know, people are using that to do like full flashes. That interface technically has a form of readout protection, so you can't get a dump from the device, but they found a way around that. I'm getting out of order here. Yeah, so two main ways to communicate with the scooter. We've got the ST-Link. It's a debug. It's for loading firmware. Does not necessarily allow us to read anything from the scooter. At least it's not supposed to. And then there's also serial mode. This is sort of, I'm not sure who named this or even where this code came from. Looks like the community just like appropriated it from a debug kit or something. But there's, the standard serial port mode. It's the one wire serial interface. They talk about using something like in this guide, something like a 2102. I don't think there's any reason that you couldn't use like an FTDI serial to UART to get in there, but that's just, I guess, as part of the dev kit that Segway was shipping. They had 2102 stuff in there. Yeah, so this is all old stuff at this point. But yeah, as I mentioned, there's supposed to be a security function in those controllers. Originally, they started out as, I believe it's essentially a NRF 51822. That's a Nordic chip. You might remember it from the 2401 series. That was what's used in they used that in the Crazy Radio for that drone project. It was used in the mouse jack exploit. It's used in a lot of wireless keyboards and such. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, so yeah, it's a tiny chip for sure. So, being $1 a piece, that was probably too much. So they've since switched a lot of these scooters to a generic clone of that chip. It's called like the A32 or something. I've got that in another tab. But anyway, they found that there was a problem with the way the security was implemented in these things. Basically, in these embedded processors, a lot of times data and instruction caches are separate. And so the readout protection only applied to the data cache. So they were able to jump through some hoops and exfiltrate data through crashes with data coming out through the instruction bus somehow. So, these hackers, they get the stuff. So, there have been different flavors of getting around that readout protection. One, a lot of the ST32 dev boards, something called a red pill, which enables coordinated glitching attacks, against readout protection and so forth. That doesn't so much apply, I think, in this case. There are a couple tools that will try and what is that one that will try and dump the data out. They're primarily focused with dumping the personalization data. So some of those things, I don't trust that they actually come with what would be a compatible bootloader. They just dump the scooter hacking. Yeah, it's in here. See, I think IPv6 would make me not have to wait for this, but not yet figured out how to provision that on the network. And then we wait, and then we wait. What was it? No, it was MI something. I don't know, I liked it because it had a concise write-up. Oh, MI scooter 2, Maidu. Yes, that one. This the scooter hacking community, there seems to be a Bluetooth OTA sort of bypass in a lot of these older model controller softwares. And so there's a whole industry that's popped up charging 70 euros to exploit the software situation and flash a third-party firmware in there. That seems a bit much. Yeah, the AT32. That's what they've switched to from the Nordic 5 series. Yeah, and there's a so this roller plush group seems cool. They're dedicated, what I can read through the translate anyway, to sort of open source style solutions, specifically not endorsing unlock cables. That's another thing that you can buy off like AliExpress. And there's a lot of good information here. I don't speak German, so that's a bit of a drag. But yeah, reading the Maidu Flash documentation, they talk about the way in which they glitch the data out of the protected microcontrollers. And yeah, so my hope is that maybe, just maybe, my scooter arrives still with some sort of factory firmware, and then I'll be able to use, an ST-Link to get some data, to get a dump of the firmware without having to hope too much on a third-party tool. So there's that, and then, yeah, so that'll be the ST-Link approach, and then there's just the built-in bus, what many people have referred to as the IAP protocol. That's documented somewhere, one of these tabs. But that's probably pretty old at this point. So, so there was a whole thing too about so there were all these exploits and people were hacking their scooters and upgrades and so forth. At that point, MacintoshKeyboardHacking apparently put some put a form of encryption on there. Whether that to the communication, whether that applies only to Bluetooth packets, or if that's going to be in play over the serial bus, the internal serial bus, I don't know yet. But yeah, so if you see things, talking about 5.5.5 versions of firmware, that was an older thing. There's now a Python encryption library, and I'm still kind of, plugging my way through some of those utilities and the code I can find, and still trying to figure out, the best way to approach that. But yeah, ST-Link is a thing. Those debug solutions are kind of hardware specific. So while ST-Link, like I say, works on the NRF series of chips that are present in the scooters, there's a lot of other ones out there. One that I have some experience with, it's the TI series of chips. So using those to flash radios like the ones used in the Ubertooth and the Yardstick. So I was able to put together a sort of a coordinated Bluetooth monitoring here for Bluetooth Low Energy. So there's certainly looking to have some fun with that scooter when it gets here. Another useful tool, this Saelae, Saeelae. It's a clone, but the software is excellent. It's an 8-port digital logic analyzer. That was pretty cheap, I think in the $15 range or something. So most likely, though, I'm just going to use, like I showed earlier, one of these CP2102s to tap the bus coming out of the dashboard, the head unit in the scooter, and see where we can, where I can get to that. So that's coming. More information as I have it. Doing a cleanup and pulling out all these dev tools led me to run across some other stuff I'd worked on in the past. The custom airport firmware. So I got a couple of these Airport Express units. This is an old wireless solution I had. I never had any, reliability or functionality problems with it. It was just, I'm really kind of, these things are really limited to about 100 megs throughput a piece because they're not gigabit. So at some point, it just outweighed its usefulness. What I was able to do in that case was use a TTL, serial converter to get to the a U-boot loader on there, and yeah, let's see if what we can find here. There was a thing came out, enable SSH. Yeah, they found there was a debug flag in the config framework of the Airport Express. There's two main models here. There's the Express, that's the dual band unit, that's Atheros based, and then there's the newer model, Airport Express, the one that just kind of sits in the outlet. It's 802.11n, but it's a Marvell chipset on that. Either way, they're kind of form of sort of embedded NetBSD, and all of the big wireless stuff it's handled. There's really just a giant monolithic binary on there. It just runs all the stuff. So I'm going to plug this thing into a dedicated Ethernet here because it's been so long since I've used this. I don't even really remember. I don't even really remember how it works. Is this the one? Just want to fire up a sniffer real quick. See what. It's not going to be 0 or 1. Those are built in, so my choice is 2. And yeah, still waiting on a little boot there. And is that me? Looks like it. So yeah, let's see anything that we didn't generate. Blinking light on there. Can I get to, I don't think I can get to airport utility. Yeah, haha. Well, looky there. Yes, from a fake MAC address, because I was in there, wasn't I? Well, I guess let's give it an IP address and see where it goes from there. Well, we know the MAC address of the device we're targeting, so that's helpful now. And There we go. It got an address. There it is. That's annoying. Public. Yes, so the default baked into the firmware password on these units is public. That's a default SNMP community. Once upon a time, the early versions of these base stations used, what am I trying to say? They used, it was purely SNMP configured with the old mushroom style. Right. So yeah, here we are SSH'd into the Airport Express. Like I say, this is the dual band model. So it's Atheros-based ATH79 chipset. Looks like they're using old Mad Wi-Fi era drivers here because we start with the ATH devices. And they have it's a pretty limited grep. Nope. What I was able to do was to access the U-boot on the firmware. Access the U-boot on the board of the base station, copy out the running firmware to a TFTP server. From there, I was able to edit that firmware to run a script from the config partition. Into flash. Yeah, there it is, rc.preinit. And so then I was able to make a couple configuration changes to improve the radio performance by ignoring radar detection. I don't live within 500 miles of an airport, or whatever the thing is. I was able to make the 5 gigahertz radio come up quicker. IPv6 has not been particularly helpful. And so most of this thing runs from a RAM disk. So I was able to copy some files around, replace a couple things. Let's see, AMD flash. Oh, come on. Oh, no tab. That's why it's so awful. And completely block IPv6 as part of the built-in firewall. Yeah, it's not valid. Oh. Yeah, just more fanatical disabling of IPv6. So one thing that makes this these Airport Expresses kind of interesting is they do work together. If they're all in the same network backbone, Apple provides a few different services advertised using Bonjour. Nope, this is just too new. Yeah, one of them is the equivalent of 802.11, I want to say it's R or K, where they provide, the wireless network is able to provide information on the channels that are in use. So your client device knows where to roam. All right, something nice and old here. Yeah, HP setup. That's my buddy. So one of the things I was able to do by getting into the firmware was disable one of the wireless bands. I mean, I don't need any more 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. 5 gig is where it's at. So that was a helpful function. I was able to, I believe I was able to control the bit rates. That's not it. Let's keep digging here. So put an enterprise rate set in place. Yeah, so yeah, here was a script. I replaced the default host APD execution script. Just did a little bit of sed in there. Yeah, so able to adjust behind the scenes wireless parameters. So an example of that being the WME parameters, which control the collision sense, CSMCA, whatever that thing is. Yeah, so you're able to, you can kind of get a little bit more time in the air by adjusting your collision sense. Here, I guess I disabled RI reverse interframe, reduced interframe spacing. And certainly, you can see I was able to change the MAC addresses. Probably manually adjust the transmit power, and multicast rate of 12 meg. So this worked pretty well for a long time. I think that was a hold function. So yeah, so sucking the firmware out, making some basic, giving myself an entry point. Then it was when I learned I was able to SSH into the unit that was truly useful. Let's go back to the iPad here. Because mentioning the things that we get out of the Yeah, that's it. Special things that the airport base station gives us. Let's see. I'll unplug my Ethernet, so we'll see that everything that appears is from the Express. Come on, that's cached. We're looking for a device called basement. Yeah. And so then we recognize that MAC address from the firmware. So that's AirTunes. What was one of my other reasons to really kind of want to get in there was the Bonjour Sleep proxy server. I wanted to control the topology of my network, and having the sleep proxy in the base station was not convenient for me. These also act as HomeKit. And yeah, not an IPv6 anywhere. It's from the old days when that was my protocol of choice. But yeah, that was kind of arbitrary, but like I said, I was just cleaning up. And then yeah, this one here. So the problem was after I modified the firmware, then the airport didn't want to boot because it had done it. There was a checksum in there, but it was nice enough to tell you on the serial port what the checksum was and what it was supposed to be. So I was then able to edit that binary and yeah, make that change. Yeah, and then it worked. Yeah, that was in the flash information table. Never did succeed at doing anything useful with the USB port. Apparently, there is an Apple-sanctioned iTunes remote as an accessory. I can see the code in there when I start poking around. Well, it used to work. Oh yeah, that broke because it decided to get a new IP address. But this same trick worked on I did this on a time capsule as well. Oh, I mean, I guess I dumped it all out. Yeah, I don't still have the TFTP server, so this is a little less complete. But yeah, here we see my scripts in, yeah, I did that did back in 2021, so it's been a while. But yeah, there's a bunch of hidden stuff like the iCloud that's used for the Back to My Mac functionality. But all of these, you see they're the same size. That's it's just a big monolithic binary. message. There's our frequency table. The old closed Mad Wi-Fi style HAL. Yep, fun stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that, I think, for the day. We'll be back in the future with some more Segway GT3 Pro hacking progress. I mean, it's gonna get here eventually. I am planning to do sort of a live unboxing video of that. But yeah, and then to be followed immediately by a take apart video because I just want to know what the voltage is on that converter box, and I just want a log of the just want to log all that RS-232 before I pair it with an activation app for the first time. So what I would like to say about that, if you could please sub to the channel just to kind of give me a little bit of encouragement, and I need the metrics, quite frankly. Anything you can do to interact with the AI, that is YouTube, or comment, reshare, things of that, I would really appreciate it. I think I am going to put a sort of form of access control on the take apart side of things. Just just to kind of keep a handle on that content. So, save yourself a little bit of trouble in the future and go ahead and sub now. But yeah, that's about it. Oh, that's the wrong box. Yeah, I got that. System stop engine X. So, all right, again, thanks guys for stopping by. Macintosh Keyboard Hacking. We will, yeah, we'll see you next time.